Hey, this is the Big Hardcore Gamer, and in this video I'm going to be giving my review for Doom the Dark Ages, which I played on PC through Steam. I'm going to be going through my likes and dislikes for the game, comparing some features to Doom Eternal, and also giving a final verdict. This review doesn't contain any story spoilers, so please watch until the end of the video, leave it a like and share it out. Right, let's get into it. Doom the Dark Ages is a prequel to the Doom 2016 reboot. In this game, the Night Sentinels and their allies, the Makers, are in a war against the forces of Hell. The Makers are holding the Doomslayer captive and are basically using him as a weapon, deploying him to help turn the tide of battle. There's a lot of cutscenes in this game compared to previous Doom games. I did appreciate not having to search for codex around each level to tell me what was going on. However, I really wasn't that interested in the story. If this was a Wolfenstein game, it would be a different matter, but in a Doom game, I have never cared about the story. I'm here for the action. So let's talk about the most important thing, the gameplay. The combat in this game is a lot of fun. It's basically a power fantasy with the Doomslayer being a walking tank, destroying everything in its way. He destroys objects that he runs into. He sends out a shockwave every time he jumps down from a ledge, which kills any regular sized demons that are caught in it, and I love this. The speed of the gameplay has changed since Eternal, but it's nowhere near as slow as some people have been making out to be. In Doom Eternal, we had the dash button, which was on a cooldown and got better as you upgraded it. This has been removed and replaced with a sprint button, and he actually moves pretty fast while sprinting. When Doom Eternal launched in 2020, a lot of games were adding a grappling hook, so they added their own version, the grappling hook shotgun. In this game, rather than using a grappling hook to close in on your enemies, you lock onto them with the shield and do a shield dash, which covers a similar distance as the grappling hook shotgun did. The shield dash is very powerful as well and will kill weaker enemies and whichever poor demon is standing next to them, and will damage stronger enemies. While we're talking about the shield, I loved it. It works like Captain America's shield. When you throw it, the shield will cut through weaker enemies in its path and then return back to the Slayer. With shielded enemies and armored enemies, the shield and armor will heat up the more you shoot it, and then you can just throw your shield to shatter it. Shielded enemies are usually standing in a row, and you only need to throw your shield at one of them to set off a chain reaction and kill them all. It's extremely overpowered. You can throw it at tougher demons to stun them, and you'll just see the shield sticking out of their body, giving you a chance to shoot them while they can't attack. Now, I mentioned that Doom Eternal introduced their own version of the grappling hook at a time where every developer was introducing one into their games. We are now in a time where so many games are adding a parry mechanic, so the guys at id Software had to include their own version. Anytime you see a demon performing a green attack, you can parry with the shield and stun them. They will also send out slow moving projectiles, similar to a bullet hell game, and if you parry the green ones, they'll be returned to sender. There's a lot of these dodging and parrying projectiles in this game, which had me calling it Doom Returnal at times. I do think that the parry window was extremely generous. Yes, I know it can be altered, and I'll talk about that later on in the video. As always, the combat is fast-paced, fluid, and very violent. When you unlock more upgrades, you get into a flow state of violence, and it's so much fun. I love the new weapons they've added. Even though the game is called The Dark Ages, there are still some futuristic weapons, like the Accelerator, which is this game's plasma rifle, and the Cycler, which uses the same ammo and is much more powerful. There's also a nail gun, a gun that shoots spikes and lets you achieve some very satisfying headshots. But my favorite weapons in the game are the chain shot, which is a gun that fires a ball and chain and actually has a decent range on it. It can be charged and is perfect for removing armor from demons. And the Ravager, just like the Pulverizer, it uses skulls for the ammo, but as a tighter spread. As always, the Super Shotgun is still the best weapon in the game, but there's such a good variety of unique weapons in this game that I didn't just stick to it for the rest of the game when I unlocked it. There are 3 melee options: the Power Gauntlet, allowing you to punch demons in the face, the Flail, and the Dread Mace. Hitting them with a melee attack causes them to drop ammo, and killing them causes them to drop health. What I do miss though is being able to chainsaw demons in half like in previous games. You can technically do it by throwing the shields with the saw blades, but I'm talking about the up close and personal chainsawing with the animations. It would have been great if they, gave you the option to do it with the shield when close to a demon. There are upgrade paths for each weapon, just like in Doom Eternal, and reaching max level unlocks a new challenge for you to work through for weapon mastery. I liked this because it gives you an incentive to put down your favorite weapon and rack up those kills with another one. The shield also has a few different upgrade paths with improvements such as increasing the width when thrown to slice through more demons. There's also one where you can shoot the shield when it's sticking out of a demon and the bullets will ricochet into nearby demons. The parry can also be improved, including things like a shoulder turret when parrying projectiles or electrocuting the demons after a parry. I love this and was glad they added fun and creative upgrades to the shield. There's a new battle that's been added called Morale Encounters. In these encounters, there's a leader with a big shield and a lot of demons around in the sealed off area. Every time you kill one of the demons, you'll lower the morale and the shield is reduced. Once the shield has been completely depleted, you can fight the leader. This was a great idea and the battle was actually pretty challenging. I loved how they've added an unnecessary but very funny dismemberment mechanic. If you shoot the arms of a demon, they will just be stuck there unable to attack you. I found this hilarious and at times I was trolling the demons with it. You can also use it, tactically in some cases to give yourself some time to replenish your health and armor before the next wave of demons spawn. I also liked how you can set your avatar in the HUD to the classic Doom guy from the old school games. It comes complete with animations when you're taking damage. There's also a giant mech that you can operate in some missions in mech versus titan battles. You get in a fist fight with these titans and there's even a cannon that you can use to shoot them in some sections, and it felt like I was in Pacific Rim. My issue with these sections though is that they were really short and I just wish there was a bit more to them. The same thing goes for the dragon missions. The dragon was very easy to fly, which I was very happy about because remember, I'm playing with a keyboard and mouse and they're not great when it comes to flying missions, but maneuvering this thing was really easy. My issue with these sections was the combat. It's really lackluster. You'll sometimes get 1 or 2 enemy aircrafts to chase and shoot, but these aircrafts don't return fire. And when it comes to the bigger targets you have to destroy, it gets worse. You lock on and wait for them to shoot, then you need to do a perfect dodge and fire back until the target is destroyed. Then you just aim and you'll reposition to the next target. It's basically an on-rail section and really didn't feel like Doom. Now, I want to give a little appreciation to id Software for putting out a well-polished game. Now, I'm only talking about my experience here because I really didn't have any performance issues on my PC. I'll put my spec up on the screen right now. During the launch day live stream, I set the graphics to ultra settings and it ran smoothly. Off stream, I set it to nightmare graphics settings and it was still running smoothly and looking great. I did raise to ultra nightmare graphics settings and it still looked amazing and ran great, but I had some issues with OBS recording it and lost some footage, so I put it back down to nightmare. On these settings, I was able to run it at 1440p and was getting between 80 to 120 FPS. It fluctuated, but it ran so smoothly that my eyes couldn't tell. The only reason why I knew it was happening was because occasionally I would look up to the top left corner of the screen and see the numbers going up and down. Looking at recommended systems requirements, it should run well on a weaker system than mine with an older card, but the better your rig is, the better experience you're going to have. The music is decent, but it's not on the same level as Doom Eternal. I think they knew this because it was actually a bit quieter in this game than it was in Eternal. Right, now it's time for some criticisms. I did mention a few earlier, but this part of the video is me really telling you what I didn't like about the game. Bear in mind that I am talking from experience of playing Doom Eternal, and I even did a second playthrough of it recently on the channel, but some things felt like a step backwards instead of forwards. To start with, the game is too long. I think they could have condensed it a bit, and because it was too long, the gameplay got really repetitive. And when I beat the second from last mission, I thought the game had ended, only to be given another long final mission, and by that point I'd had enough. The game really didn't feel as rewarding as Doom Eternal. The thing I missed the most was the Slayer Gates. In Doom Eternal, there were these Slayer keys that you would find that would unlock a Slayer gate leading to an arena for you to take on waves of challenging demons. Each Slayer gate got crazier as you progressed, and there were 6 of them in total. After completing each one, you'd get an item that you can take back to your ship and remove another lock on a new gun called the Unmaker. Which was basically a rapid fire weapon that used BFG ammo. This felt great to complete all Slayer gates and to be rewarded with a new weapon at the end. So when I started playing the Dark Ages and saw a Slayer key on the first level, I was really happy, and I was wondering what medieval twist they were going to put on the Slayer gates. Then I realized that the Slayer key just opened a regular gate with an item behind it. And that was all. I was very disappointed. They also add a ship in Doom Eternal for you to unlock chambers by finding power cores. Obviously, there's no ship in this one because it's a prequel, but I was open to have something to work towards. This is what I mean when I say the game didn't feel as rewarding. I mentioned not being able to chainsaw demons earlier, but the executions are also gone. I mean, well, there are a couple left. When you see an enemy highlighted with the prompt for you to press the melee button, you can jump and do a shield dash, and it will sometimes do an execution. There's also the one where you rip the heart out from an enemy leader and crush it with your hands, but I missed all the brutal executions that were in Doom Eternal. The first half of the game felt a lot easier than Doom Eternal. At one point during my launch day live stream, I had to stop and check that I actually set the difficulty to ultra violence. It does get more challenging later on in the game and gets very sweaty in the last few chapters, so maybe they just did a better job at balancing the difficulty this time. So it's not really a negative, but I mentioned earlier that the parry window on the shield was extremely generous. So let's talk about that and the sliders right now. From the moment you start the game, you have slider options shoved in your face. Listen, I'm old school. Okay, I believe that when the devs set difficulty options, you should just pick the one that's suitable for your skill level and keep it moving. So I like to play at the default settings for the difficulty level, which is why I didn't fine tune the parry window, because that's for the developers to do. They should have it set at a decent level, and then if you want to use the sliders to increase it, you can. I actually don't agree with you being able to adjust the sliders in the default settings, because by doing this, you're basically not playing at the difficulty settings. Especially in a game like Doom, where there are six difficulty settings to choose from. You've got Aspiring Slayer, which is basically easy mode, Hurt Me Plenty, which is normal, Ultra Violence, which is hard, and in my opinion is the sweet spot, Nightmare, which is very hard, Pandemonium, which is like Nightmare, but you can use life sigils to restart the current chapter if you die, and it's permadeath if you run out of sigils, and Ultra Nightmare, which is basically permadeath. Notice how generous the parry window is for all of these settings. I would be happy if they added an extra difficulty settings called custom, where you could go and create your own difficulty. Look, if I go into the graphics settings and select Nightmare, and then start changing settings around for a better performance on my PC, you'll see the name of the setting change to custom. My feelings weren't hurt by this when I was playing on the welfare PC and saw custom appear when I had to change the settings just so that the game wouldn't keep crashing all the time. I know I may get some comments saying stuff like, let people play how they want to, and how other players play doesn't affect you. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. This is just annoying to me as a gamer when it comes to having conversations with other gamers. Because if someone tells me now that they beat the game on Ultra Nightmare, I have to ask questions. Did they really beat it on Ultra Nightmare? Or did they increase the parry timings, lower the damage, and lower the speed of the projectiles and all this other crazy shit, right? There was another game this year that lets you skip the combat in the game altogether. And another game releasing later on this year that lets you skip boss fights. Yes, let people play what they want to, the way they want to. But if I know you're doing this, I'm going to be looking at you funny, because seriously, what's the point? Games are supposed to have a certain level of challenge. So if you remove all the challenge, like, what is the point in playing the games? You might as well go and watch it on YouTube. Anyway, rant over. So now it's time for the verdict. Doom: The Dark Ages was a very fun game. The action was fast-paced, fluid, and violent. I loved the new weapons, the shield and morale encounters. I loved the mech versus Titan battles, even though I thought they could have done more with them and it could have been a bit longer. The parry mechanics was good, but it was too generous at default settings. Overall, it was a very well-polished game, and I like how each of the Doom games in the new game trilogy feels unique. I don't think it was as rewarding as Doom Eternal, and then putting Slayer keys without the Slayer gates just felt like they were trolling me. It was too long and started to feel repetitive because of this, but I definitely think you should still play it. I would definitely recommend it to any fan of the Doom series, and if you're new to the series, I'd recommend you also play Doom Eternal, just so you can understand my criticism. I would also recommend it to just anyone who's a fan of first-person shooters. Right, so my rating for Doom: The Dark Ages is, it's good. Now you can check the description for my full ratings list. Alright, so that's my review, and it's actually the first review I've done this year. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and also let me know if you played the game. If you played it, you know, after adjusting the difficulty settings. Maybe I'm just turning into a grumpy old hardcore gamer. Maybe that's it. If you made it this far, please leave the video a like. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and check out some other content. Right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.